Hello, this is Team ProHects. My name is Angelina Usmalkhojayeva, and I'm going to start the presentation of our project, which we have called We Green. This is a database management system for volunteering tourism. We found out a problem with the tourism in Uzbekistan. Actually, lots of people visit the places, they rest there, but they don't leave it clean, and even the local people who live around those places, they pollute these places day by day. And it's really hard to find the solutions, but we have some ideas, for example, to raise the awareness about ecotourism, to initiate kind of projects where volunteers and sponsors would be attracted. They would organize different events and make tourists rest and clean at the same time. Actually, there is a beginning of kind of movement in Uzbekistan, but it's really small and it's hard to coordinate all of these projects without a proper database management system. So we decided to solve that problem. This is the overview of our system, the ER diagram. As you can see, sponsors organize different events, they provide equipment for the participants of our project, and those participants, of course, are rewarded for their activities. They have insurance, they use transport to reach the destination, and they work on different projects which are guided by the local guides. And of course, tourists can make donations for that movement. You can actually pause the video here and see all of the details yourself, but I want to pay your attention on the main entity sets. In fact, some volunteers can be tourists and tourists can be volunteers, and it's really important that all of the coordinators control all of the volunteers, and every volunteer should have maximum one coordinator according to the Sobichars notation we have provided here. So this is how it works.
So, hello, my name is Rahim Turgambayev and I'm the leader of the team ProHects. Now I'll continue the part that Angelina was talking about. So we have union category of participant who can be either a coordinator or volunteer or tourist. As you may have noticed on the ER diagram, we don't have primary attribute for category of participant. Hence, we cannot relate to participant directly in the logical schema. That issue has been fixed in this slide. You can see with an additional attribute part ID, which is a surrogate attribute to make relations from participant so that tables coordinator, volunteer, and tourist are connected via p.part ID. Also, there are no tables for relationships control and B, connecting volunteer and tourist, because those tables were optimized and respective foreign keys were added into volunteer. Next, I want to draw your attention to the transformation of multi-valued attributes. Attribute phone number. You can see the table phone number relates to participant with the primary attribute phone itself and p.part ID. So moving to the changes, there were only minor alterations in the cardinalities and the removal of entity performance. After the analysis of database, we have found that performance table created the duplicated data and was replaced by relationship allocate, which has attribute job score with respective foreign key relating to reward and coordinator. So that's all for this part.
Hi, my name is Rohit, and I will tell you about the most important entities that were used in our DBM system. In this part, I will help you to clarify the meaning of some attributes and the measurement units of them. Reward state attribute in the reward entity set has a Boolean value for 1 reward to be granted, if 0 reward not received. Location, an attribute of transport entity, means the departure point where all the participants should arrive, usually described with ubiquitous address. For example, bus stop Chorsu, since there are only one Chorsu bus stop. Vehicle num, attribute should describe all vehicle numbers which are identified as a fixed string of 6 characters. For example, X263DA. Geolocation is an attribute for the drivers of transport to insert geolocation to GPS for safe routing. Example you can see on the slide. Duration, a composite attribute consisting of start and end of date of project with data type date, format, year, month, date. For example, 2021 0106. Status, a composite attribute of volunteer, identifying whether they are involved in the project or not. Passport ID, the same as SSN, but in the Uzbek formatting, fixed length string of 6 characters, for example, KA 000001. In this slide, you can see our logical diagram in Irwin, which was converted from our ER diagram, which was described above. You can stop the video to explore the chart in more detail. This physical schema covers everything I described earlier and also illustrates domain types and attribute integrity constraint with null and not null options. You can stop the video to explore the chart in more details.
Hello. In order to check our functional capabilities of database, we simulated 5 queries. The first query, find investors who granted company more than 5 million. On the console, you can see the formula. Then we run this and get the data needed. As you can see, there are 2 sponsors out of 4 who granted more than 5 million, Grosh Insurance and Pepsi Corporation, who invested 8 and 12 million respectively. Query number 2. Find the name, phone of volunteers that are involved in any projects. Find this, we will write on the console. Following, select name, phone, and active from volunteers where active is equal 1, which shows us the volunteers is involved in the project. After running this, we have the results on the screen. The third query, assuming that 2 projects have finished and job scores have been allocated, finding the phone and IDs of participants who have more than 120 points. In the red box, you can see the formula. I do not go into details, and the table shows the data we looked for. The fourth query, assuming that tourists have been involved in project, find the personal data for participants who are tourists. As you look at the formula written in the red box, there was used a sub-query in order to select some personal data from participants project table. When we run this formula, we get this table on the screen with all data needed. The last query, find the data for participants who are in the reward table and receive reward. Otherwise, no reward granted. As you can see, the formula from the red box that was used sub-query, and the results show us that there is no one who received the reward. I hope everything was clear for you. Thank you for your attention. Ciao.